Good morning. Here I sit back in my house again. The car's unpacked. I'm waiting for the hot water service to warm up so I can go and have a shower, and then I might have a nap, and then I've got some lawn to mow later this afternoon. I did record a video last night, but after 2 hours, it still hadn't even got above 1%. So the signal is really bad out there. So in the end, I deleted it, and I thought, nah, I'll just do it when I get home. So last night was very cloudy. We got about, according to the Bureau of Meteorology, we got about 2 millimeters of rain, which was nice. There was no wind, which was even nicer. The fire had me sweating. It was quite warm, and I was very dry, so I was very thankful for that. There were no leaks in the camp. I just sat there watching a movie, really, and didn't really do much at all. I did go out a couple of times, but even with a near full moon, it was pitch black. So the cloud cover was very heavy. I've got camp lights, so it wasn't really a big issue. It was just a generally relaxing night. I woke up at about 6:30 this morning, and of course not a cloud in the sky, blue skies, although I think we're expecting a little bit more rain this afternoon, so I figured there was no real point in hanging around. I did my dishes, tidied up camp, made sure everything was tight, and tied down properly, and just in case we get a pile of wind and rain and all the rest of it. And then moseyed on home. I did stop at the service station, or the gas station, on the way home, and topped up about 16 litres, and that was $3.09 a litre, which I think is still over $12 a gallon for those in America. It's not cheap. I don't know how we're going with fuel stocks at the moment, and at this stage I would much rather have the car completely topped, just to make sure. So whenever I go for a drive, I fill up. I've got plenty. Next weekend, we'll have to see. It's looking like it's going to be a very wet weekend, and if that's the case, I'll probably stay at home. I do need to clean the house. I need to do a winter clean, I suppose, and I have been neglecting that a little bit lately. I would love to get out there and do more stuff on camp and make it severely winterized, but I can't really be doing much when it's pouring down with rain. So, and to be honest with you, I'd much rather see the paddocks get as much rain as they can, because they desperately need it. And it's probably best, but we'll see. And I do need to clean the house, so that does need to be done. Otherwise, it was a good weekend. Thank God we didn't see boots on the ground, but there's certainly been a lot of activity over in a certain country in the last 24 hours, and a lot of it is, I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, I've read more stuff on it than I can poke a stick at, and to be honest with you, it doesn't sound awfully like just going in there and rescuing someone. that's an awful lot of gear to lose, because it sounds like they've lost a couple of C-130s, they've lost a pile of Little Birds. Little Birds are just the little 2 to 4 seater helicopters that they use for special operations, and a pile of other gear. So, but it's an awful lot of gear to lose for one bloke. And, you know, I mean, okay, he's important, but, you know, to put that amount of assets at risk, I don't know. A lot of this stuff has you seriously questioning exactly what's going on over there. But besides all of that, you know, the fact of the matter is the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. Yes, boats are getting through, but predominantly Chinese, Indian, etc. So those members of the BRICS community are getting through, and nobody else is. So, you know, there's a lot of talk about 55 ships coming to Australia, although I've heard that 10 have already been turned around because people offered a better deal. I'd hate to think of what the real cost of oil is at the moment, because I'm pretty sure it's not $115 a barrel, especially when ships are being turned around. So if you're paying 115 and someone offers you 150, then I'm sorry, you're going to turn the ship around and you're going to go elsewhere. So I think at the moment it's probably a free-for-all. Everyone's so desperate for it and they're doing whatever it takes to get it. And some people are just have a red line where they'll just say, I'm not paying that much. And so, you know, I'd imagine there's a lot of bargaining going on in the background that we're not aware of, but that's certainly the way it's looking. So yeah, make sure your cars are topped up. You know, I always used to say, I'll never let it go below half. These days, I don't like letting it go below full. And that's just where I sit at the moment. So, you know, it's sad that this world has come to this, and, you know, green energy was never going to be the saviour. I mean, that's just the fact. You know, yeah, it will give you more power, but that's not what runs a country. Trucks run a country. You know, farmers run a country. You know, without food, we're no longer here. Without diesel, they can't work. And a lot of people have said, oh, we're worried about the fertiliser. It's like, well, at the end of the day, they need diesel to do the seeding. They need diesel to get the fertiliser out there. And then they need diesel to bring that crop out of the ground. And then they need diesel for the trucks to run between the farm and the silos or the storage places. And then they need diesel to get from the silos to wherever they're processed. And then they need diesel to run from when it's processed to the shops. And if there's no diesel, it doesn't matter how much food you've got. It doesn't matter how much food a country can produce, because it's all in the ground. And it's not going anywhere. I mean, a seed is no good to anyone. You know, a loaf of bread is, but it takes a lot of diesel to get between A and your dinner plate. So, you know, it's something to seriously consider. And if you're not considering it, you need to start doing it very, very shortly. You know, I've seen the latest estimates there from various videos, and they're suggesting April 20 is when Australia stops. As to whether that will actually happen, as to whether more boats will turn up, I don't know. I don't run that side of things. So, but yeah, it is something to to be aware of, to be looking at storing a few extra things every now and again, and making sure that, you don't need to be going off to the shops every 15 minutes. You should be able to go to the shop today and not have to go back for 2 weeks. And that's in a best case scenario, because at the rate things are going at the moment, it's going to take, even if the war stopped tomorrow, and it's not, and we all know that, it's going to take months to catch things up again and to get things moving, and the world will never be the same. I'd seriously consider possibly a recession. They're already talking about it, although if things keep going the way they're going, it's not going to be a recession. It's going to be depression, because the world will stop. Work, how are you going to get to work? And then what do you do for work? And do you actually need fuel for that work to actually carry on while you're not in the office? Just because you're sit in front of a computer all day, the things that you're doing that are outside the office all need fuel. So, and if that fuel's not there, that's not going to happen, and that puts job security at risk. So it's getting that serious. It really is. So you need to consider what you need to do, and it's not about panicking. It really isn't. A lot of people will, and you might see things like crime increase. Especially the have-nots and the haves. So the have-nots are going to want what the haves have, if that makes sense. And I'm being serious here. It's not a joke. So yeah, it is something to seriously consider. So yeah, next time you're at the shop, don't just go in there and grab what you need for dinner. Grab what you need for the next 4 dinners, even if you've got that already at home. And just put it aside. You will use it. It's just food. That's all it is. It's just a matter of having things on stock, ready to go, if you need it. And then there's power to consider. What happens if the power goes out? Maybe think of foods that, you don't normally eat. Canned foods. There's plenty of canned soups out there that contain meat and vegetables and things like that, and you can just mix that up with a bit of rice, and hey presto, you've got a meal. And it's a filling meal. It's got all the vitamins you need, got all the everything, and it tastes good as well. And keep some spices on the side: salt, pepper, turmeric, garlic, steak seasoning, Italian herbs and spices, whatever you fancy, just to make things taste, that much better. There's nothing wrong with a good meal, and you just feel good afterwards. So, yeah, lot to consider, but yeah, that's Easter for me, all done and dusted for another year, for 2026. And yeah, can't wait for the next one. So yeah, the next long weekend we've got here is Anzac Day, and that's in about 2 to 3 weeks' time. Like I said, this weekend, probably stay home. The following weekend, I'll probably go out bush again, depending on the weather, and start to seriously winterize, camp, against, the rain last night was fine. It was okay, but, when you've got 70, 80 kilometre an hour winds and driving rain, that's why I need to winterize, because I need to make sure that, camp is always going to be there. It's not going to be blown across the paddocks. And it's somewhere that, you know, worst case scenario, I've got a house. But otherwise, I'm back to work tomorrow. Back for another working week. And yeah, I'm sure I'll catch up with you at some point this week. Otherwise, hope you've all had a wonderfully happy, joyous, safe Easter. In whichever way you celebrate it. You know, all we ever want to see is for people to be home, be safe. Oh yeah, that's another thing. If you're driving long distance, just take it easy. You know, every man and his dog is going to want to be going home. You know, everyone's going to be stressed out, you know, because they're going back home. You know, holiday's over and we just want to get home, get the car unpacked and just relax again. So take it easy. It's no rush. You know, home is still going to be there. Work is still going to be there tomorrow. You know, just relax, breathe, take your rest stops. And yeah, rushing around is only going to use up more fuel. So take your time and enjoy. And like I said, get home safe. That's all we ever want. I'll leave it there. I'll catch up with you later this week. See ya.